Welcome to Offwatch, a podcast by the Ocean Race. Welcome to Offwatch. The Ocean Race Europe is just a few weeks away, so we thought it'd be a good idea to talk to some of the runners and riders in both the VO65 and the IMOCA class. We've got Yoann Richomme, the skipper of Mirpuri's Racing for the Planet, and Sébastien Josse, one of the crew members on board CORUM L'Épargne in the IMOCA. First of all, Yoann. He's somebody that we've spoken to before on this series, and he's got an incredible story to tell. So if you haven't heard it before, I urge you to go and look at that previous interview. But in this, he gives us an update as to where the boat is at the moment, how he's gone about picking his crew, and what he's looking forward to getting back out on the water and on the racetrack. Enjoy. In the last season of Offwatch, we were lucky enough to talk to Yoann Richomme, the new skipper for Mirpuri's Racing for the Planet. And since then, they've achieved a lot. Crew selection and, of course, the Ocean Race Europe only a month away. We thought it was good to check back in with the team and the skipper and see what's new. Yo-Yo, thank you very much for talking to me. First of all, I just want to find out what you've been doing, because I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but the restrictions in the UK have started to ease, and so I've massively overcompensated. I've been on the water as much as I can. I've been screaming the enjoyment into the waves. I've been on ribs, been coaching. What about you guys? How much have you been able to do now, back on the water, getting wet, in the wind and the waves?
Well, it's been quite all right since the first lockdown, really. We've been allowed, to sail pretty much all the time as professionals. Of course, not every event has been happening, as you can imagine. Mostly the IMOCAs with the Vendée Globe and the Figaro and a few Class 40 events. But otherwise, it's been all right. We're allowed to go out on the water, so I did spend a little bit of time this winter and the past few weeks, so it's been good.
And when I last spoke to you, I was talking to you, and correct me if I've remembered this wrong, but you hadn't got the final lineup. Maybe not for the full Ocean Race event, but certainly for the Ocean Race Europe. You were still trying a few people. You've begun your trials, but then things have been sort of cut short. Where are you now in that process?
Yeah, well, obviously, since the Ocean Race has been moved by 1 year, and we kind of have this really in-between event, the Ocean Race Europe, which is going to be great this summer. The rules have changed a little bit, so the game has changed a little bit for me as well. There are no age restrictions for this new event. So I did want to keep the crew I started selecting, maybe as well thinking ahead that if we keep on going to the Ocean Race, it's a good idea to start, getting some experience in. So I did, in the end, kind of, manage to keep the same crew. We're, fully staffed now with a great bunch of guys. I have Nico Lundven, a quite experienced navigator on the Ocean Race now, and a very good friend since we were young, helping me out on the navigation, and as well Jack Boutel, who was with Dongfeng. They're an important part of the setup of this team.
Well, it's interesting because I was looking at your roster before we were talking now, and it seemed like everyone that you've got for the Ocean Race Europe, apart from one, and I want to say it, and I apologise if I get the pronunciation wrong, but Marina, I think her name is. It's Antonio Fontes' partner. Everybody there has done the Ocean Race. You've got, like you say, Jack Boutel, Nico Lundven. You've got Bernardo Freitas, Emily Nagel. To mention some. It feels like quite a strong setup. Certainly, a bunch of people that know how to sail a 65.
Well, yeah, I hope it is. They certainly know how to sail the 65, and they've been teaching me a lot, because I do come from a different background, and I can tell you these boats are a bit of a different breed. It's very loaded, very heavy everywhere, and of course the organization of a 10-man crew is very different to what I'm used to. But they've been great. They've been giving me the time to learn, and I'm starting to get an eye for what I want to see in the team, how I want to see it organized. So obviously I've been relying on them a lot since the beginning. as we were the first team to go shopping, we did get a chance to get our hands on, if I can say, and it's not very polite, but on a lot of the experienced sailors who are still under 30 for the next race. So that's a luxury we've had, that's for sure. And a few of them for the Ocean Race Europe don't meet the age criteria for the Ocean Race in the end, but they're highly motivated people. Some of them have been involved in campaigns. Oliver Young on the bow, I don't think he's done the Ocean Race in any leg or anything, but he's been involved with Dongfeng, and he was helping me on the Figaro 2 years ago as well, so I'm starting to know him pretty well. We have Rob Bunce as well. He hasn't done the Ocean Race, but he's done the Solitaire. I know him. Very strong trimmer. He knows a lot about the organization of a team as well. And so it's it's a good team. I feel really good about them. They're really strong. I feel like they own each a little place in the team, which they bring a lot of experience to and a lot of energy, and it's really good. It's a real pleasure to organize, and I certainly hope we're going to take this team forward in the future.
Talking about learning from good people, Bruno Dubois, working with you as well, and I was lucky enough to talk to him not that long ago. Fascinating character and a really interesting take on the professionalism of sport. What's that relationship been like with you, and how useful has it been?
Yeah, I don't listen to him all that much.
Yeah.
No, it's been great because obviously he kind of knows how to run the show, so it does help. It's kind of the same with the crew. They've got so much experience at this that they make it really easy for me. I still have to make some decisions, huh? Don't worry. But there's so much knowledge that they just have to explain to me how things are run, and that I kind of, if I want to bring in my own way of doing things, I do it sometimes. But it's a real luxury. You can see we're quickly organized into a real team. Obviously, we're going to put this to the test in racing because this is going to be the real thing. You're always the king of the bay when you're by yourself. But yeah, no. Bruno's been a great help with Charles as well, Cordelier in the background, who I can call, discuss a few things pretty much all the time. So no, I have some great expertise with me. Yeah, that's for sure.
I imagine a lot of people are quite jealous of you at the moment because, like you say, you were able to go shopping at the right time. You were able to pull in quite a few people. And I wonder as well how much you've still had to figure out with the 65s, because certainly 2 editions, the VO65, I think a lot of fans feel like it's been fully understood now. It's done. But of course, there's some new sails as well, with the A4. I see some pictures of you guys flying this new downwind spinnaker. There's still some interesting ground ahead. So without giving away too much, where do you find yourself thinking that there might be some interesting speed to discover in the Ocean Race Europe, in the proving ground with the 65s?
It's always what we say with the One Designs, we've been through it, we've done it. We've done, I don't know, 15 years of Figaro 2. I can tell you they never went as fast as the last year. Huh? Maybe on tiny details. It's always tiny details, But there's always room for improvement. I have to say that bringing in this A4 spinnaker has been more interesting for me, made it more interesting for me, because otherwise, they do know it inside out, those boats, and everyone's got the numbers and they know where the sails perform, etc. But we do have this new sail, so it does bring a bit of interest into the development of the boats. So we've been trying to learn that. We've been out a few days trying to first see how it goes up, then how it goes down, and then how do you put it back into the bag. It's made for some quite interesting discussions, and of course, we're learning how to use it performance-wise. when is it, when it starts to be useful, and when it doesn't. It's not always that easy. It depends on the sea state and stuff. So you do need to get a lot of experience in. Basically, what we're trying to do, get as much as we can before we go to the start of the race.
And I think with the Ocean Race Europe, of course, this will be racing conditions, and everybody will be pushing really hard. So it'll be really interesting in terms of the straight line performance data. But compared to the legs that you're going to have around the world, the Ocean Race Europe is going to be a bit more sprinty. I mean, it's still offshore, it's still multiple days, but, it's not the same beast as the full round the world race. How are you setting up the team and the way it's going to function as a boat during the race? Are you approaching the two things differently? Burning out your sailors for an entire leg because you kind of can on the Ocean Race Europe? What's your thoughts?
I think so. I mean, to me, it's closer to 12 voile legs or Figaro legs. You've done it. We've done it. You can do 1 month flat out. You finish on your knees, just your nerves holding the thing together, and then you just die the next week into a bed, and and that's it. But you can do that because the event is over 3 weeks, 1 month. It's not over 1 year or 9 months, as the ocean race. So you do take it differently. You can get people out of the watches and trimming and doing maneuvers a lot more. You will need to anyway, because the longest leg might only be, the longest section in the leg might only be like 12 hours or something, and you might be changing sails very often because you're near the coast or tidal areas, thermal breezes, little, headlands to go around. So I don't expect that we're going to be sleeping all that much, that's for sure. So we are trying to organize it that way, in the way that it is a sprint in between two cities, and you do need to find a little bit of balance with the sleep, but you need to be on top of the performance the whole time for sure.
I completely understand that balance. I mean, you've cast my memory back to, when we did the tour, I lost like 7 kilos of body weight, and I don't have 7 kilos of body weight to lose.
That's because we didn't have money to eat now. It's not
This is absolutely true. But my point was going to be, push them hard, don't break them. So let's talk then about that route, because this feels like, as you're saying, the 65 with a lot of those sailors, they've had a lot of information maybe to give you, as any good relationship goes. It goes both ways. But this course for the Ocean Race Europe kind of feels like your thing. With the solitaire and everything, it just feels like very well-trodden ground, headlands, coastal, only thinking these kind of 15-minute chunks. Is there a part of the course that is exciting you in particular? Is there a part of the course that's kind of making you go, I have no idea how to even approach that bit? How did it look?
Well, we know the cities where we start and finish, but I do feel like they might be lengthened a little bit because we need to spend 3-4 days out to sea. Some of the legs might be a bit too short if we go straight line. So I don't exactly know where we're going, but I do like the first one for sure, to Cascais. I mean, all the northwest of Spain is amazing to sail around. I really hope we do get to go close to the shore. But I've actually done this course before, quite close to shore, because we had a tiny kind of Europe race on an IMOCA in 2011, I think, and I thought it was amazing. Yeah, it's just so short, so intense. You've got to think about the wind bends, the tidal gates, the little things everywhere. And the thing is, with the Med and all those headlands around Portugal, Spain, all the way into the Med, the weather changes in basically every bay, which is, it's amazing. And it's, it's something I really enjoy doing. It's, close to my culture for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. And maybe even in the Med, if we go around a few islands on the way to Genoa, it sounds like fun to me.
How are you thinking in terms of, I think to like the Olympians that I've been lucky enough to talk to, and they talk about regattas, and some of those regattas the results don't matter. We're just trying something out. We're going to experiment in this way. And then there's some regattas that they go, this is do or die. I've got to perform here. The Ocean Race Europe for you, is this a chance for your team to prove how much work you've put in and your performance is there to get your own confidence up? Or is there going to be a little bit of experimenting with different modes and different styles? It's a testing ground.
It's hard to choose between both. The program has started early. Everybody has been watching us. We've been, putting videos and pictures.
You've been setting the pace. I mean,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't mean like on the water, but as in terms of program building. Everyone is looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that, and everybody's going to be waiting for us. I know that. We're trying to set up the campaign that is able to win that race. That's for sure. That's all we're doing right now. When we sit in Lorient, I want to be, on the boat saying, okay, we've done everything we could to get this team to perform. Now it's down to the race, and we know how racing is. It's really hard. Sometimes you learn things you thought you knew, and it's a tough lesson sometimes. But so I want to stay, humble. We've got competitors who have got a huge amount of experience in the 65, in ocean racing, in crude racing. So I'm not ready to say, this is for us. We're going to win it. Of course, we always, as a competitive team, we are looking to win an event, but this is going to be one tough battle, and I don't expect that my competitors are going to give it to us that easily.
Okay, last question then. When we see the images of you guys at the start line and everything else, I know you've had phenomenal success in some of the sailing that you've done, and you have earned the right to stand shoulder to shoulder with any of the best sailors that are going to be lining up for the ocean race in terms of what you've done. But just on a personal level, I know that as you come off the start line, I know as you walk down the dock, I know as you go out to the course, you're going to look very calm and you're going to look very centered, the skipper of the team. But internally, how good is it going to feel to actually get to this start line with this team, with this boat, with everything that your team, the country, the world's been through? Are you looking forward to that moment?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's been basically a year and a half without racing. So first of all, I really can't wait to go back out racing. Plus, with such a good fleet, 7 boats, we couldn't hope for more in the 65. It's absolutely great. I've got a team which I've been dreaming of. I would love to take this team, around the world as soon as I can. So I can't wait to see what level we are at, against this fleet. So I'll be extremely proud to walk down to the boat with this team with me. For sure, yeah. It's one of my dreams, one of my objectives, and I couldn't hope for more right now. So I'm gonna make the best of it. That's for sure.
All right. No favourites, but I wish you all the best, buddy. Good luck, all right? I'll be cheering you out there, all right?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Niall.
Well, a big thank you to Yoann for giving us his time and giving us an update, as well as what we can look forward to seeing the VO65s back in action in a few weeks. Next up, it's Sébastien Josse. This is a crew member on board CORUM IMOCA, and he's got quite an incredible story to tell, as well as a few things that we should all be looking out for when we see the IMOCAs sailing around this coastal course. Enjoy. Frenchman Sébastien Josse will be competing in the Ocean Race Europe in just a few weeks' time as part of the 4-person crew on board CORUM L'Épargne. Now, he's no stranger to the ocean race, having competed in 2005-06, skippering ABN AMRO 2, where they established a new 24-hour distance record, as well as being nominated for World Sailor of the Year. Outside of the ocean race, his passion and experience is pretty clear to see. He bought his first boat, a Figaro 2, at the age of 18 with prize money from his successes in sailing, and he's gone on to amass an incredible amount of IMOCA experience, competing in the Vendée Globe 3 times. Sébastien, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hello.
Let's start with the boat. Let's start with CORUM, because for most sailing fans, the last time that we saw this boat, it was in the Vendée 2020, where, unfortunately, the boat lost its rig. It had to sort of pull out a little early. Now we're going to be able to see it in this short coastal race for the Ocean Race Europe. And what have you thought about, or what have you changed? Because obviously the big difference, apart from the course and apart from the fact that you're going down in the Southern Ocean when you do something like the Vendée Globe, but for the Ocean Race Europe, it's going to be multiple crew. You're going to be able to push the boat a little harder. Is it still set up in the same way, or have you been able to modify it to take advantage of more crew?
We modified the boat because when you start for the Vendée Globe, we have a lot of spare parts. So you have 3 autopilots and a lot of ropes, halyard, sheets in double and maybe more sometime. For the Europe tour, we managed to have a boat lighter, simple, because we are 4 people on board, and we make the sail a little bit more thin, smooth, flat, and to make sure it's more performance, because you can have a helmsman and a trimmer in the back of the sheet. So that is the big difference. And also inside, we managed to have 2 beds all the time, and for the Vendée Globe you had just 1. So and also cups and a spoon and everything to make sure we can have 2 people on deck and 2 people inside have a rest.
And how does the weight come out? Because you mentioned the spares that you don't have to take because it's not the Vendée Globe, but obviously you have 4 people, you have the food, you have the water, but of course it's only going to be a few days. Is the weight the same, or is it now going to be a much lighter boat?
I don't know really. I think it's a little bit lighter because we don't bring any water, and we don't bring so much food. During the Vendée Globe, you can take some dry food, but also a long conservation food, so it's easier. For a race of 4 days, you can make just a dry food every day, and we don't eat so much because you are full on the deck. So I think the boat is a little bit lighter because it starts to be quick, and you start to take off some autopilot, some satellite antenna, some ropes, and even the toolbox is maybe really small for this race. And for the Vendée Globe, you have a lot of tools. You have composite, resin, everything, so layers, so all this stuff is off the boat. So I think the boat is a little bit lighter.
And what about the way that you guys are going to be sailing the boat? I mean, how do you see the difference? You're going to have the possibility of having a human helm all the time on the rudder, or is it going to be something with an autopilot? I mean, it's such an exciting possibility to see how, the IMOCAs are going to be able to perform with 4 people. How have you got ready for that?
The IMOCA with foil is a little bit crazy sometimes. So the autopilots, my point of view, go faster because it goes straight, and especially in CORUM, you don't have a vision on the bow. So when you start to foil over 25 knots, I think the autopilot is better, and you have just to trim the heel of the boat to make sure it's all the time on the foils, and you have the good balance. When it's light, really light wind, maybe in Mediterranean or Gibraltar, for sure you need a helmsman because you go faster with the helmsman. But it's 2 modes. It's 1 mode when you don't foil, helmsman it's faster. When you start to foil, it's maybe better to trim the balance.
Well, let's talk then about the potential people that you're going to have helming the boat and sort of sailing the boat with you. I mean, there's a lot of names that I think fans of the IMOCA will obviously know, Nicolas Troussel, obviously, double Solitaire de Figaro winner, and the normal person that we see with CORUM. Talk to me about Marie Roux coming on board, because this is somebody who I think is not in any way to diminish the skills that she will be able to have on the IMOCA, but she's not known for that. She's, a dinghy Olympian, much more sort of one design sailing. What's it been like sailing with her?
But we think about Marie because she has a CV. It's crazy. She many time world champion in NACRA 17. She do the Volvo Ocean Race. She win the Volvo Ocean Race with Don't Feign. So she do a lot of one design, but she has a crazy feeling. So a flying boat or a dinghy boat or donkey boat. She's not it's she know to push really hard the boat, but she know also fly really soft, nicely in the small catamaran. So she can help us a lot because she has a really good feeling about that, and has both. When the boat don't fly, it's like a VOR 65, and when the boat flies, it's like a multi-hull. So I know she can do it.
And let's talk about you then, because as I said at the beginning, you are a name that everybody will know who's been a fan of the ocean race for many years with 2005-06, ABN AMRO 2. It's a notable campaign for many reasons. Obviously, some incredible successes, but with some tragedy as well. But it's been a while since we've seen you in the ocean race. Has that just been from choice? A different style of racing was what you wanted to be, or just circumstance? Why has there been this gap?
Why? Because I have a lot of other projects. I was in Gitana team during 8 years, and I managed a third campaign Vendée Globe. And after first we start in mode 70. After the class die, so we do a Vendée Globe challenge with a Gitana 16, and after we build a Ultime Trimaran flying boat. So I have a lot of work with this team, and that's it. There is no time for any other race. But I like the Volvo Ocean Race. It's a crazy race. It's long race, fully crew. Even now with the IMOCA 60 can be really tough. So maybe one day I come back maybe the next one. But it's a really good remember. Even if sometime it was not so good for the team. I think we spend a good time with the crew during this race.
And what about as a skipper? Because obviously that experience, like we say, the performance was really strong with the boat. Obviously with Hans Horowitz on leg 7, I think it was, the tragedy there was obviously something that would have been testing to anybody. But your experience as a skipper, I always feel, must be very different from the experience of the rest of the crew. Is being a skipper something that you think, it was really good? Or are you happier being like you are now, somebody whose experiences may be best in other areas?
It was a dream to do the Volvo Ocean Race. I have just 13 years old, 30 years old, so I come back in the Volvo in France. Volvo is really famous, and we are not so much froggies to do the Volvo before. So when Roy Heiner called me and asked me, "Do you want to do this race and to be the skipper?" I say yes, and I see after what's happened. And I grew up a lot. For some time I was good, sometimes I was bad in my decision, but it was really interesting to work with a lot of nationality. We are 6 on board, nationality, Kiwi, English, Brazil, Australian, so even Netherlands. So all this, it was really, really good it was good part of life.
And it's interesting now, obviously, that we have with the VO70, ABN AMRO 2, the real powerhouse. Now, obviously, we've got the 65s. The race has changed from what felt with the 70s is quite open. You could do a fair amount. The 65s, obviously, very strictly one design. And now with the IMOCAs as well, I wonder for you, I'm guessing you're more of a design, a little bit of more of an open class. Would that be right?
We have to play with the game and the rule. When you have the rule one design, you play one design. Even in France, we have Figaro, we have a one mode 70, we have some class is one design, and the level is really high, and it's another part of this sport. After when the class is open, like Volvo 70 or IMOCA 60, you can play a little bit more with engineering. You can try a new idea. It's for that we see foils today in the IMOCA, and we see the speed is incredible. But it's good for both point of view. It's good for design point of view, and it's also good for the sailor sometime to grow up and to see, wow, that is possible. If you look at the last 20 years, we don't think any multi-hull can fly and any mono-hull can fly. So now to go 30 knots with a mono-hull is normal, and to go 45 knots with a multi-hull is normal also. And it's safer. The crazy thing is it's faster, but it's safer because you don't see anymore some mono-hull, multi-hull capsize because the boat fly really flat and it don't hill anymore.
Is there a trade-off where, because as you say, we're flying, there's a little bit of a safety that comes with things like that, but is there a trade-off where things are also a little bit dangerous because the technology can be a little bit new and we're still sort of developing it? I mean, how does it feel when you're out there on the foils? Does it feel that you can completely trust it? Or are you still thinking, this is a bit new, and so I'm not 100% sure?
I think my point of view, we can trust the designer because it's born from computer and laptop, and you have to learn how to use this new technology. But it's going to be stable, so we have to find the stability. And since you find the good trim in the sail and the good trim in your foils and rudders, you are stable. And since you are stable, you can be 100% confident, except if you broke the foils or if you hit something. But when you fly, and if you find the good trim, my point of view, it's safer because you can trust the stability when you fly.
You mentioned designers and being able to trust the designers.
We have to do
I believe you guys have been. I believe you guys have been working with 1K, Yoann Richomme, who I was lucky enough to speak to a number of months ago for this series, and he was talking about one of the things that really I remember very clearly was he was talking about in any other sport. You would test before you then used it around the world. Whereas in sailing, you go, okay, we're going to build it, and then off you go and you're testing it. With that in mind, every time you go on the water, whether it's practice, whether it's competition, it's a chance for testing. Is there anything that you are going to be testing in the ocean race Europe? What is a little bit new or a little bit of a I know that you might not want to go into details, but I just wonder whether there's anything that you might be trying a little bit new.
I can't say.
Okay. Okay, wait. Well, then let's talk about. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Well, let's see whether you can be open with this then. Let's talk about the Figaro. One of the things that's really striking me, talking to a lot of sailors, is how different it seems to be growing up as a young sailor in France. And like I said in the introduction, from what I understand is correct, when you were 18 or 19, I think you just finished second, I think, in the Solitaire de Figaro. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But then you bought your own boat, a Figaro 2. When I was 18, I bought my first boat, and it was not something as big and as expensive as a Figaro 2. How is it that it seems like in France there's a route to the top of yacht racing that isn't going through the Olympics? That seems to be the path for everybody else. In France, it just seems to be the stuff of dreams. You know, you're a young lad and you want to go and sail in the Solitaire de Figaro, and you know there's a way to do it. How young were you when you decided, I'm going to do this?
It's part of luck, but in France we are lucky because in Brittany it's a sailing valley. It's really strong, and some sponsor banks like Crédit Agricole, Crédit Mutuel help young people to during a selection, 1 week race of 7 young sailor. The first win this week win the budget for 1 year of sailing for the French championship in Figaro, and you can be part of the Finistère Course au Large, the center training of Singelen in Port-la-Forêt. So when you win this race for a young sailor, it's under 25 years, I think. The first door it's open to do your dream and to be good in the next race, in the next summer, in the first Solitaire of Figaro. It's like that. You can start in France, and you can start really young if your CV is good, and if you are good on the water, it's not about just CV. You have to prove you are a good sailor. So if you win this race, you open 1 or 2 years of sponsoring for do the French solo single French championship.
And how different does it feel for you, having gone through those sailing adventures when you were young, and like you say, not with an awful lot of budget, you know, you can do it. How different is it sailing then to sailing now? Do you remember how different it was having to do things with absolutely no money, whereas now, I mean, not that you have, you know, infinite money, but you have a little bit of money that you can spend to develop foils and you can investigate things. It must be nice to have sort of come from one to the other.
Yeah, it's nice because when you sail when you are young, as you say, you have no money. Sometimes you sleep in your van. You have just bags. It's part of the sailing life. So after, when you grow up, you go in the bigger team, and the Volvo was amazing for me for that, because the level of when you start to learn sailing, for the Volvo it was that with Max Anderson and all the Kiwi, and you speak about sail with this guy and sail tasting, and I grew up really fast because we don't have all these things in France 20 years ago, and now we start to work like that. So I learned a lot when I was in the Volvo when I was young, and I come back with this experience and with this background in France.
Is it going to be nice also to be able to bring these boats? You know, I mean, the IMOCA at the moment is that boat that everybody is talking about, and with the foils and sailing fans, you know, it's such an exciting boat. Is it going to be nice bringing these boats into the cities? Obviously, with COVID and everything, it's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to have people out on the harbour in the same way that we would do normally, but it must be quite nice to be able to show these boats to the sailing fans.
Yeah, we have some the IMOCA, the foiling IMOCA. It's really incredible to see because the bow is 4 meter high and it's not so much hull touch the water. So when you can see this boat near your dinghy, it's impressive. So I hope as many people or boat can come on the water to see the start or the finish, because you don't see so many times a boat like that on the front of your harbor, except in Lorient.
All right. Well, Sébastien, thank you very much. I know that you're a very busy guy, so thank you very much for talking to me today. And looking forward to seeing you on the start line.
See you. Me too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and keep an eye open on our social media channels where we'll be announcing our future guests, and you can submit the questions that you want to get answers to. If you enjoyed this, then subscribe for many more, and we'll see you in the future.